You ever have one of those mornings where you're just minding your business, running the lawnmower, coffee still kicking in, and suddenly you hit something so stubborn you think it's a rock? Except it turns out to be a person. Well, maybe not a person, but close enough. Teresa Collins, local queen of the HOA, marching over like she's got backup from the Supreme Court, and this time she's actually dragging along a so-called police officer. Yeah, my mower stopped cold at the exact moment she started mumbling about my grass not meeting some kind of performance metrics like we're running a country club instead of living around a lake where the wildest thing is usually a goose attack. That was just the start. If you stick around, you'll see how clipboard theatrics, fake law enforcement, and a whole mess of neighborly chaos played out, and how one power-hungry Karen almost lost it all over a patch of grass. I'm Caleb Monroe, by the way. For 2 decades, I fixed aircraft engines for a living. High stress, all rules, no nonsense. So when I took early retirement at 45, I figured I'd earned a little peace. Moved into my grandparents' old lakeside cabin, the kind of place you remember from childhood summers. Crickets at night, sun off the water in the morning. Nothing but trees between you and the rest of the world. The HOA when I got here was 3 years old, meant for keeping the road smooth and the lake clean, and I figured, hey, fair enough, I can live with that. Spoiler, I had no idea what was coming. So second morning, I'm out there on the porch, coffee in hand, mist on the lake, perfect, and I spot this woman coming down the road. Black business suit, hair up in a bun clipboard at the ready, and walking with that purpose you only ever see in TV courtroom dramas. She's got a badge on a lanyard that looks homemade, and her voice says business way more than welcome. I'm Teresa Collins, chairman of the Lakeside HOA. She says like I should salute. You must be the new owner of Cabin 7. I try to be friendly. Yep, that's me. Caleb. Nice to meet you. But she's already flipping through paperwork, talking about property maintenance assessments and residency documentation like I'm applying for a passport. Never mind, the place has been in my family since '73. She kneels down and starts measuring my lawn like with a ruler, writing notes like she's investigating a murder scene. According to Lakeside HOA regulations, grass height cannot exceed 2.5 inches. You're in violation, she announces. Lady, I mowed Saturday. It's green, it's healthy, not even close to shaggy. But she's not worried about that. The real problem, apparently, is that I performed lawn maintenance without prior HOA approval. Yeah, you heard me right, cutting my own grass without getting permission first. I actually asked if I needed to file a form next time I sneezed too loud. She was dead serious. That's correct about the lawn maintenance. Then she starts listing other violations. Wrong paint on the door garbage bin, an inch out of place window blinds not to code. At this point, I felt like I'd slipped into some kind of parallel universe where every normal thing a homeowner does suddenly requires a permit and a prayer. I asked to see the actual rules. She snaps her clipboard shut, says I can get the regulations after I submit a $200 application and all these compliance forms. Meanwhile, she's taking photos of my house from every angle, like she's cataloging evidence for a trial. The cabin's been here longer than the HOA, longer than Teresa, I'd bet. But apparently all properties are subject to current HOA oversight, no exceptions. She leaves me with an official notification of multiple violations and warns me that future maintenance activities are prohibited until you comply, like she's deputized herself, judge and jury. Next morning, yellow envelope in my mailbox. Urgent as a tax bill violation. Notice number 001, listing every offense from unauthorized lawn mowing to garbage can positioning. Fine $500 due in 7 days. If I do it again, it doubles. I sat at my kitchen table, sunlight streaming in, holding that notice, and wondering if I'd wandered into a reality show. The letter looked official if you count clip art scales of justice and legal fonts you download off Microsoft Word. Teresa's homemade seal right at the bottom as if she's the sheriff in some HOA Wild West. Honestly, something snapped in me. Years of dealing with actual regulations had left me allergic to fake ones. I tossed that ridiculous fine right into the fireplace, watched it curl and burn, and then started digging. After a morning wading through my grandparents' paperwork, I found the original HOA bylaws, 3 pages plain as day, covering roads, shared spaces, and lake access. Nothing about grass height door colors or garbage bins. Teresa's laws were about as real as her badge. Armed with facts, I started documenting everything, times, dates, exact words. Aviation taught me to keep records, especially when dealing with people who play fast and loose with authority. Around noon, phone rings Teresa again, all business, wants to know when I'll pay up. I hit her with what I'd found no such rules in the actual bylaws. She pivots immediately. Those are outdated documents, Mr. Monroe. The board has made updates. Of course, can't see the new rules until I pay up. The circular logic was almost impressive. I asked who's on this board. When do they meet? She dodges, says meetings are for members in good standing. Which you guessed, it means you have to pay the fine to find out the rules you supposedly broke. That evening, an email, final notice compliance, required all caps, threatening all necessary means. At this point, I can't decide if she's running an HOA or auditioning for a villain spot in a Batman movie. So the next day, I decided to call her bluff. I kept mowing, but this time I filmed everything. Sure enough, 15 minutes later, here comes Teresa, but now she's in full costume, tactical vest, sunglasses, shiny badge, utility belt, weighed down with office supplies. Officer Collins of the HOA Enforcement Division, she announces, ordering you to cease all unauthorized property maintenance. She actually had a list of violations: mowing without permit, grass, 2 spirited trash bins, not sufficiently dignified. I couldn't make this up. I asked for ID. She said her authority came directly from the HOA board and didn't need validation. She even gave me a citation on real carbon paper, no less, for $1,200 due in 72 hours, or she'd escalate to legal compliance division. And wouldn't you know, neighbors were peeking out windows. Some looked nervous, some just entertained. That's when I realized this wasn't just about me. She'd probably pulled these stunts on everyone. The next day, I fired up the mower again, and this time a beat-up blue Civic rolled up with homemade decals, security division, and authorized patrol. A guy gets out in a black vest, sunglasses, and wait for it, a badge that looked like it came from Party City. Officer Thompson, Regional Security Division, he says, ordering me to step away from the lawnmower. His notebook's blank, his badge has no number, and every answer is just a loop of legal-sounding nonsense. When I pressed, he dodged, saying you're violating noise codes, HOA policies, and probably the laws of mowing physics. I asked for his department number. He clammed up, threatened additional charges for obstruction. Right then, Teresa came striding over, calling him Derek, dropping the act completely. Their little play unraveled fast. She yells he crumbles, admits he sells insurance, and was just there to look official because Teresa said I was stubborn. That was it, the curtain dropped. I called the real police and calmly explained I have someone impersonating a police officer at 247 Lakeside Drive. Within minutes, sirens, real ones, pull up and out steps Officer Davis, the very picture of legitimate authority. She didn't even have to say much. Derek confessed everything. Teresa tried to take charge and failed, and Officer Davis made it clear. Impersonating an officer is a crime. HOA presidents don't get to make up rules or hire pretend cops. Teresa got a real citation for filing a false police report. Derek got a warning and probably a lifelong aversion to dress up, and I got the last word. But here's where it gets good. I took everything bylaws, fake fines, videos, and called an actual community meeting, first one ever. 16 out of 17 families showed up. Folks shared stories, bogus fines for tall sunflowers being forced to repaint doors, garbage cans moved inches at a time. Turned out Teresa had collected over $8,000 in phony penalties over 2 years. When I revealed the grandfather clause on my deed proof, she knew she couldn't legally touch me. Anger turned into action. We voted 16-0. Teresa was out, new leadership and fake fines nullified, and everyone demanded their money back or else. These days, Mrs. Peterson runs the HOA like a sane human, no rulers on the grass, no tactical vest, no cosplay cops. Teresa moved away. Derek sells insurance in another state, and I cut my grass whenever I feel like it. Sometimes with my coffee on the porch, I remember how close we came to losing our peace to someone's power trip. But that's the thing about bullies, their authority is only as strong as the fear you give them. Officer Davis's citation was more than a $500 ticket, it was the reality check we all needed. So have you ever dealt with an HOA? Karen who tried to run the block like her own fiefdom? Drop a comment, share your wildest story, and let's talk about where you draw the line between order and overreach. Hit that like and subscribe for more neighborhood drama, because sometimes fiction just wishes it could be this good.